And then my last comment would be that I'll do, and hopefully with the support of staff, hopefully we can get some of those 11 that are trained to get more active, because what you're saying is that as much as we're contracting you to set up the program, it can't work without our staff being involved. Is that correct?
That's very correct, Kevin. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time, Cliff, Ted, and Kate, for coming down here and enlightening council on the shuttle business program.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break. 29th, 2007.
Moved by Councillor Harrison, second by Councillor Kentel, that the special council meeting minutes of October 29, 2007 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? Carried. Committee reports, Development and Planning Service Committee meeting minutes of November the 5th, 2007. Do we have a motion?
Moved by Councillor Idzan, second by Councillor Cannon, that the Development and Planning Services Committee meeting minutes of November 5th, 2007 be received as information.
All in favor? Carried. We're on our 7-2 Downtown Parking Commission meeting minutes, October the 16th.
Moved by Councillor Kentel, second by Councillor Eliason, that the Downtown Parking Commission meeting minutes of October 16, 2007 be received as information, and that the following recommendations be endorsed: that parking ticket fines be increased from $25 to $35, quick pay to remain at $10 if paid within 48 hours, and handicap parking fines be increased from $25 to $100 with no quick pay option, and that the provision be made in the 2008 budget for additional parking in the 4th Northeast parking in conjunction with upgrading the lane in the amount of $125,000.
Councillor Itzan, speak this one.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I'm in complete support of both items, both in terms of the increases in lengths. In particular, I'm pleased to see that the handicap parking fines for people parking there when they shouldn't be is being increased to $100. I think not so much as a punitive measure, but as a measure to encourage people to act appropriately when using those spaces. And having had a couple parking tickets, the fact that you still get 48 hours to pay only $10 instead of $35, I think is an excellent value for those of us that occasionally forget how long we've been parked. And then the other item, I think our community will benefit from that parking upgrade.
Councillor Harrison.
Your Worship, the second item, $125,000. I understand that money's to come from, or is this confirmation of that?
Services or financial services?
Your Worship, I'll speak to that. That'll be part of your 2008 budget process. So I think the motion to read that it be referred to the budget process and come from the specified area levy and or reserve.
So the motion then, can we have it amended slightly?
Is
So it's clear.
Does the motion not read that way? Does in the Downtown Park Commission minutes that provision be made in the 2008 budget?
Yeah, the motion does say the provision be made in the 2008 budget for assessor to $125,000. It's a little different than saying I consider it.
We can just make that change, Your Worship.
All right.
And I might add, if council supports the first part of that motion with respect to be done with an amendment to the fee-for-service bylaw that we will bring forward at a later date.
All right. Councillor Harrison, any with that?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Lassen.
Thank you. Not to belabor any points, but I think that it's important for people to realize that although the parking is free, there is a time limit on the free parking, so that it encourages availability for the merchants downtown. So park for free, but not all day.
Councillor Fane.
Mine was dealt with. I was concerned getting a commitment in the budget instead of referring to the budget, so the amendment has fixed that.
All right. Do you want an amendment, Mr.?
No.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Item 8.1, introduction of bylaw zoning amendment, bylaw 3648. We have a motion.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Harrison, that the bylaw entitled zoning number 3648 be read first and second time.
Phone services.
Shipped rezoning applicant properties are 3121 and 3221 Okanagan Avenue Northeast, located just west of the 31st Street intersection. Showing up on the screen. The purpose of the application is to rezone all of Lot 10 and the west half of Lot 1 to R4. The purpose of the application is the R4 zoning would either permit as a townhouse project 8 townhouse units, 9 if a special amenity was to be provided, or subdivided as a bare land strata subdivision 7 lots. This location is consistent with the official community plan. It's designated medium-density residential in the OCP, and therefore is supported by staff. The applicant is in attendance, and I'm not sure if he wants to give a presentation or just answer any questions that may come up.
Thank you. Councillor Cantor.
We had a letter earlier on regarding drainage and so on. How is that going to be looked at? But is it going to be put into our budget or?
Engineer.
Your Worship, the order for improvements on First Avenue Southeast, and that drainage system will not tie to this drainage system. That's a complete separate issue. This development, when it proceeds, will be required to extend the curb and gutter and sidewalk along Okanagan Avenue East and 31st Street. And it'll require an extension of the existing storm sewer, which is actually located on Okanagan Avenue East. And it's not low enough to drain First Avenue Northeast.
Okay, so in your opinion, it won't impact the problems that were brought to our attention?
No, it will not impact that problem.
Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is on the same line as Councillor Kentel's, and I wondered the engineering report that talks about drainage. Could the Director of Engineering and Public Works just review that for me? I want to make sure I understand it clearly. It's on page 3 of the engineering report, which is appendix number 8.
Your Worship,
Appendix 8.
I'll show you on the screen
Okay,
the
yeah.
existing storm sewer is. The existing storm sewer that'll service the proposed development is coming up from 30th Street in Okanagan and extends up to about halfway between, right about here. They'll then be required to extend that storm up along here and pick up this proposed development. Along with that, they'll provide catch basins on the curb and gutter. And the curb and gutter will come down around it here in 31st. And on 31st Street, we will then put a catch basin right here. So all the water, drainage water off the road and any water from the development site will be collected in that storm sewer. And this is much lower down here. And the problem is in here, there is no storm sewer. And the storm ends up about here and very right in here, but it just does not drain. We'll need to obtain statutory rights of way to extend the storm between some of these properties out to 2nd Avenue to make all this work.
Can I have a follow-up question? So there's going to be a catchment basin on 31st, right about there.
That's right.
Okay, and so where will the water go once it goes in that catch
It'll
basin?
go back storm here and then back out to Okanagan and 30th Street.
Okay, so the gravity will run it that way.
That's right.
Okay. All right. I was worried that it would impact First Avenue because it's a pretty expensive project. I think it's about $120,000 to First Avenue, if I understand it right. And I would hate to have this project impact stormwater and not have to contribute to solving the problem.
Any further, Councillor?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Councillor Cantor?
Oh, I do, because if you look at that same appendix there with the, where you had the little diagram, isn't that going downhill on 31st? Seems to me there's quite